Hey, I got some really bad news for everyone. You're already probably reading this on your social media feeds. That Cinefex is indeed shut down. The premier publication for visual effects and animation and storytelling, really, in the cinematic world, is going away. It's a victim of COVID. It wasn't able to keep up its sales. You know, it made a lot of sales from retail, and retail is sort of closed now for a year. So unfortunately, it's going away. I mean, Don Shea started this back in 1980. It was a bi-monthly journal. It was covering the whole visual effects and special effects industry at the time. And later in 2014, he retired as a publisher, but turned it over to his son Greg, who ended up taking ownership and really keeping it going up until this pandemic hit. In 2004, Don Shea got an award for this magazine from the Visual Effects Society because it was just so important to the industry. He deserved it. And in the last decade, it became available for the iPad. It's always been a unique aspect ratio of 8 inches by 9 inches. And part of that was Don's intention to have it match up well with film aspect ratio. And when you handle the publication, you felt like you were looking at the movies. It was not only very well designed and a lot of attention to detail, but it was also very high resolution images, the best images that you really see outside of the actual screen itself. And there was great volumes of details in how they made the special effects and what the techniques were. You could really learn from these magazines how to do special effects, CGI, and animation. Issue number 172 is going to be the last issue. It has come out. You can get it online. I have a personal connection to this document only because, when I started in the mailroom at ILM, whenever the publication would arrive, it would come in a couple of boxes to the studio. And the first thing the head of the mailroom at the time, Dan Howard, would teach me is you open it up, you take out a copy, and you leave it there in the mailroom for all the ILMers who come to the mailroom to do their personal business. Everyone would thumb through it and see what the latest edition was. And it was also long before I ever got screen credits. My name appeared in that magazine, and that's because ILM would actually go out of its way to buy out a whole section or a page or two of the magazine and put a list of all the employees that were working there this year as a big thank you. So it was sort of my first screen credit, if you will. And even in later years when I was working for Image Engine and we were doing the Elysium cover, basically Elysium was going to get the cover photo. And the cover photo, because they had such high publication standards, had to be rendered in 8K. So it was my first 8K render that I'd ever had to oversee on the farm. And of course it was only one frame. But I remember just marveling at the detail of when you do an 8K render for publication, how great it looks, and how I could zoom all the way into the space station and practically look right at the buildings. It was just so high resolution. And really everything, I was just looking at images in preparation for this, and really everything that was submitted to that magazine was generally stunning in some way or another. And it's a real loss. So I want to thank the Shays and everyone who was involved in keeping the publication going on behalf of the whole industry. It's been an absolute wonderful publication, and it's the creme de la creme of publication quality, something you just don't see much anymore. And it's a real sad day to see it go. I would also like to point out that there is another publication out there. This is VFX Voice. This is put out by the Visual Effects Society. It doesn't attempt to be Cinefex, and it's not Cinefex, but it is a great magazine that certainly covers a lot of the same styles and aspects of diving into visual effects and techniques used and personalities involved. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the VFX Voice, maybe you can look at that. Anybody can subscribe. You don't have to be a Visual Effects Society member. You can buy a copy online. And it's by no means a Cinefex, but it's out there, and heck, we got to support the publications that are out there if we don't want to see them go away too. So find a publication to support out there, maybe subscribe to it, maybe subscribe to VFX Voice, and while you're at it, subscribe to this channel. So I appreciate everyone's eyes on this, and I'd love to hear your comments on what Cinefex meant to you, and what kind of memories you have thumbing through the pages of that suburb publication. See y'all later.